Take a look around. Got a couple hundred people here. What you see are the people. And lately, the people have been struggling through foreclosure crises, economic crises, job crises, environmental crises, medical care crises, and the crisis of conscience that arises when you realize how embedded you are in the very matrix that caused all your trouble. Look into the eyes of the people and listen to their trouble. And then look at all the meaningless consumption of luxury and lavish displays of power splattered all over the richest parts of this town. Right down there on the Strip, for instance, where hundreds of people sleep each night in the sewers, while above their heads corporate executives meet with government officials to exchange handshakes and make campaign contributions that would feed your whole family for a year. Can you rightfully speak still of a government of the people, by the people, and for the people? And when you consider all the problems that surround us today, you might ask, how did this come to be? Surely I didn't decide that launching multiple wars was more important than feeding hungry children. And I wasn't to blame for selling off protected lands and contracting public services to corporations thousands of miles away. And of course, I never believed that any of the banks deserved a bailout, or that genetically modified corn needed to be subsidized, any more than I believe that pharmaceutical companies should have a say in determining malpractice laws, or that for-profit prison companies should have a say in immigration. I don't even recall being asked about these things.
Yeah!
It becomes clearer and clearer that our politicians don't care about us. They don't represent our concerns. And it makes no difference whether they call themselves Democrats or Republicans, because the only politicians who advance in this corrupt system are mere henchmen for the corporate powers and international bankers.
Yeah. Word.
Those are the real guys at the top. They're often known as the global elite, but let's call them what they really are. They are psychopaths. Their only concern is hoarding wealth and moving it around the world, raping the planet and robbing it of resources, playing one people against another, inflating and deflating the money supply whenever they please, dropping crumbs for the most desperate workers they can find in a scheme they call globalism. And we realize this is not about right versus left. This is about right versus wrong. Money does not count more than people. Personal power is not more important than solidarity. And laws are not more important than morals. We live in a system that is sick, and it's making us sick as well. For by playing our assigned roles within that system, every one of us helps to empower it, and that only strengthens its grip upon us. We empower a system that exploits the many for the profit of the few, that destroys huge swaths of the planet to increase the power of transnational corporations, that divest the earth of hundreds of species each day in its mindless pursuit of new revenue streams, that murders indigenous and lower income people whose only sin was to be born near a Superfund site or a coal operation, and that considers it a correction when whole economies are crashed to increase the take for an ever wealthier 1% of the population, while crushing the hardworking 99% with unimaginable debt. But I bring you good news. All of this is imaginary. It was all invented by human brains, just like yours, all of it. Nothing but make-believe, fantasy, role play, pretend. Every law, every rule, every institution, every social custom. And because it is imaginary, we can change it. We can change it anytime we want. We can invent our own laws, our own rules, our own institutions, and our own customs. We can create a different future starting today by taking power back into our own hands. It's time to stop pretending. It's time to stop empowering this corrupt and unfixable system. Let's begin empowering each other instead. In short, let's occupy our lives. Thank you. Thank you and thank you.
Yo, basta!